I stepped out onto the vibrant street, inhaling the fresh air. I relished the sight of the blue sky, beautiful trees, and lively nature that many no longer found interesting. But not me. After 3 months in the hospital due to a silly accident, my life gained significance. I nearly died from blood loss but miraculously survived thanks to a rare blood type they struggled to find. My parents, Stacy and Oliver, were always considered lucky. With a thriving business and a comfortable home, they were dubbed the fortunate ones. I was determined to find the person who saved my life, to thank them personally and learn about their life. When I asked my mom for the donor's address, she hesitated, saying times were tough and it wasn't simple. But my resolve didn't waver. I insisted, and thanks to my father's influence, I finally obtained the necessary information. It was challenging as disclosing such information was unlawful. However, my persistence and my father's influence helped get the donor's address from a doctor who decided to take a risk for me. Harry, my savior, was a respected teacher at the school. He was loved and esteemed among colleagues and students. Sadly, he recently had an accident due to the rainy weather. Harry was always a kind and caring person. With a huge heart, he sought to help others. His last act was reaching out to the blood bank due to his rare blood group. Learning of his passing filled me with deep sorrow. I decided to visit the town where the accident occurred. There, I was greeted by a quiet, well-kept atmosphere with beautiful flower beds and smiling faces of passersby. It struck me, unlike my metropolis, where everyone is caught up in their problems and disregards each other. I easily found the old house at the given address and soon stood at the front door, ready to ring the bell. No one answered. I tried several times. "What do you need here? Don't you understand that no one's here?" snapped an irritated elderly woman from the neighboring apartment. "Hello, I know that Harry's relatives live here. I need to see them," I replied, feeling a bit stunned. She looked at me reproachfully and asked, "And who are you to them?" I'm a family friend," I stumbled, unsure what to say. "Go away, that's enough," the woman sharply said, closing the door. "I'm telling you, there's no one here." His mother, Agatha, was taken to the hospital right after Harry's death. "No one else lives here anymore." "Which hospital?" I shouted as the door closed. "City Hospital 3. Figure it out yourself," came the reply. But that was just the beginning. I found the hospital and learned where Agatha's ward was located. I spent over 2 hours waiting for my turn to meet the patients. Various thoughts raced through my mind. What will I say to the woman? How will she react? Will she talk to me or dismiss me? As the clock approached 4, I, along with the others, entered the ward. I saw an elderly woman sitting on the bed, gazing out the window. Presumably, she was the mother of the deceased. She didn't even turn her head towards me. I, Charlie, entered Agatha's ward. She slowly turned around. Her elderly face bore sorrow and indifference. I began, "My name is Charlie. I received a blood transfusion from your son Harry. It saved my life." Unexpectedly, Agatha shouted, "What do I care? My Harry is no more, and my life is over." I couldn't even properly bury him because of his foolishness. He wanted to help everyone, and who did it help? "Leave. I don't want to see you." The old woman turned away and stared out the window again. I didn't expect such an outcome from the meeting. It was foolish, hurtful, and cruel, but there was nothing I could do. I had to leave. The door opened, and a girl burst out of it. Wait, she shouted. "I'm sorry for Grandma. She's like that strict. Everything turned upside down for her after Dad's death. Her nature is tough, but it's from pain," explained Ava. "And what's your name?" she asked. I explained the reason for my visit. "Really? How great that you've recovered. Now, you're almost like family to us," Ava rejoiced. At that moment, I realized I was drowning in her blue eyes and couldn't look away. "Perhaps we could have lunch together," I suggested. "Yes, of course. There's a cozy cafe nearby," agreed Ava. We had a wonderful time together. Ava told me about her father, Harry. He raised her along with her grandmother after her mother left when she was just 5 years old. Ava fondly remembered her father and cherished their shared photographs. "These photos are always with me, in my memory and heart," she said. Ava showed me a few on her phone screen and continued, "You know, you have my dad's blood in you, and I feel like he's close by." She shared that she worked as a florist in a flower shop and how this job helped her cope with the loss of her father. The evening was coming to an end, and I had a train ticket, but I felt I didn't want to leave. I longed to see and hear Ava every day, to be with her, to speak the kindest words. Little did I know that she felt the same way too. "Can I come see you again?" I asked. "Yes, of course," exclaimed Ava. I returned to my city, filled with joy. I told my parents about my happiness, but their reaction startled me. "Son, maybe you should think some more. Why rush into meeting the first girl you come across?" said my father. "Look around at the daughters of our partners. They're educated, smart, beautiful. One of them would be a good choice for you," supported my mother. I was shocked. "Seriously, Ava isn't just some random girl. And Mom, I'm not going to marry a girl just because she's the daughter of our business partners. But if you're going to forbid me from seeing Ava, I'll leave home. Don't try to set conditions. You're still too young to speak to me like that," snapped my father. I was stunned by my family's reaction and simply walked out of the room. At night, my parents couldn't sleep. What a disaster that Charlie fell for Harry's daughter. "Why did I even ask for the donor's address for him?" lamented my father. "I told you not to send him there." "What do we do now?" asked my mother with bitterness. "We'll have to tell him the truth about his origins. We have no choice," said my father. The next morning, there was a note from me on the living room table. "Gone for the weekend. Will be back by Monday." Several days without Ava felt like an eternity. I eagerly awaited the weekend to see her again. My parents' behavior from the previous night seemed merely foolish and presumptuous to me. Why did they react so strongly to my girlfriend? They've never flaunted their status or wealth. This is all absurd. I've long decided to marry the one who captures my heart, and it happened. Today, I decided to propose to Ava. I don't care how my parents react. If they don't accept it, I'll break free from their guardianship and live on my own. Sure, I don't have the highest salary, but its specialists are in demand now and offer excellent opportunities, including financially. My thoughts shifted to the proposal I was about to make to my beloved when 2 hours, which felt like an eternity, passed. "You're here, my Ava," I exclaimed, seeing her on the platform. "How are you, darling? I missed you so much." "I'm fine, my love. I missed you terribly too." Tender kisses and tight embraces, as if forever. Seeing the glances of passersby, I suggested, "Let's go to our favorite cafe where we first met. I have a surprise for you." Looking at the menu, an idea struck me. "Ava, let's write our vows of love to each other on this prospect, to cherish always, regardless of age. Are you agreeable?" She smiled and nodded. Now our oath was written on paper and in our hearts. And that's not all. "Ava, will you marry me?" I said tremulously, offering the ring box. Ava froze for a moment. It seemed as if time stopped to capture this moment. "Yes, of course. I agree." I was simply ecstatic. This day was special, and she had a surprise too. "Let's go to my place for lunch. Grandma invited you," she suggested. "How, Agatha? She kicked me out of the hospital," I exclaimed in surprise. "Grandma always senses people. She sees how happy I am with you. She's convinced you're a good person. Her intuition didn't fail her," explained Ava. Agatha's icy gaze changed to a friendly one. It was a victory. I managed to win over not only Ava but also her grandmother. The weekend flew by in an instant, and again, farewells on the platform. "Ava, don't worry. The work week will pass quickly, and I'll come back again for the weekend," I reassured her. She watched the departing train for a long time and couldn't hold back tears. She felt that if she admitted to her happiness, it would vanish. I felt the same, returning home, reminiscing about Ava. Almost as soon as I crossed the threshold, my mom, Stacy, called me. "Charlie, you're dead and I need to have a serious talk with you." Here it goes. Sounds ominous, I thought. Usually, I listen to my parents, but not this time. "Charlie, please listen to us, don't interrupt. We're sorry, but we have to part ways with Ava, even if you love her." "Dead?" Oliver nodded in agreement. "Love? Yes, I'm in love with her. I proposed to Ava today." My voice trembled with indignation. "Son, we're sorry, but enough. This is too much already," I shouted. "I'm packing my things, moving into a rented apartment. If you change your mind about Ava, call me, we'll talk." And I decisively headed for the door. "Harry is your real father," Oliver shouted. That last phrase made me turn back. I looked bewildered at my parents, understanding nothing. They've always called me their son, and I've called them Mom and Dad my whole life. How could this be? "Mom, is it true? Harry is my donor, my father." "Yes, it's true," Mom replied, "and Ava is his daughter. It means you're her brother." I sank onto the couch, holding my head in my hands. I didn't want to believe what had just happened. Mom, Dad, I just can't believe this. My voice quivered with despair. Without Ava, it's as if a part of my life has been taken away. Without Ava, life was just an empty existence. I know, son, it's hard, replied Mom. She handed me some old photographs. I looked at them and realized my parents' words were true. How could this happen, Dad? I asked Oliver. I couldn't call him anything else. This was before your mom met me. She'll explain. Oliver looked tense. Stacy nervously clenched her fingers. Clearly, it was hard for her to talk about this. I met Harry back when we were students, in the same group. We started as friends. I hesitated about getting into a serious relationship with him, but Harry was persistent, and I gave in. We lived in a small one-bedroom apartment on the outskirts of town. Harry proposed to me, but I wasn't ready. We decided to wait until we had our own place. Then Oliver entered my life. He came to the city for a few days on a business trip. We randomly met at a cafe and fell in love. It's incredible, but it was love at first sight. As she spoke, Oliver's mom involuntarily smiled. So much time had passed, yet he remembered everything down to the smallest detail. Stacy sighed heavily and continued her story. Then I told Harry I was leaving him. It was awful, but the worst part came after. On the last day, as I was packing, I realized I was pregnant. Almost 2 months along. I suspected earlier but hoped for something else. When I found out I was pregnant, Oliver wasn't yet part of my life. We decided to get married immediately, and Oliver agreed to be the child's father. Harry knew nothing. That's the story, son. And now it's returned to us after so many years. Mom Stacy was deeply nervous and anxious. She never imagined she'd have to tell her son this entire story. And she felt immense shame for the pain she caused Harry. She took away his son with her own hands, but he never knew he saved his child. I was devastated, crushed by what was happening. My mind understood my parents' story was true, but my heart still rejected it. It was full of love for Ava. Time passed, it was already midnight, and I still couldn't sleep. It seemed there would be no more sleep, no joy, no love, nothing. Only toward morning did I finally sleep, but it was the brightest and most vivid dream. Ava and I held hands. For a moment, our hands separated, then came together again. I heard Ava's gentle voice, "Everything will be okay, darling." The awakening was light. My thoughts weren't filled with despair and suffering. I decided to head straight to Ava without waiting for the weekend. My parents, upon meeting me, couldn't hide their surprise. "Mom, Dad, I need to go see Ava." "I hope you understand," I said. Stacy and Oliver merely nodded. The entire way, I pondered how to explain all these events to Ava and what would happen next with us. After all, everything had only been good in the dream. After my call yesterday, Ava was pleasantly surprised and eagerly awaited our meeting. As usual, she ran to the platform to meet the train I was arriving on. She smiled, delighted to see me, but in my eyes, she saw sadness. "Maybe let's go have coffee at our favorite cafe," she suggested. "Yes, of course, Ava," I replied. I realized I couldn't keep silent any longer. I honestly told Ava the whole story of my family that I had learned just yesterday. To my surprise, instead of shock and disappointment, a smile appeared on Ava's face. "Ava, you're not upset. Did you always dream of being my sister?" I asked in surprise. "Where did you get that I'm your sister?" "When my parents left, they stopped communicating with Harry's family and mistakenly thought I was his daughter. My mom was married twice. I'm from her first marriage. Harry is my mom's second husband. He adopted me. I was very young when it happened, and he became a father figure for me. After my mom passed away, there was no one closer and dearer to me than my dad. So it's true, and you're not my sister?" I asked, astonished. "No, I'm not your sister. I'm your fiancée," she smiled, replying. After some time, Ava and I started our own life path. What it will be like depends on us, but I hope that love has found its place in our hearts. What do you think about this story? Please subscribe to the channel to follow more stories. Love you.